So these are bean vines. They don't look like much, but they have been sitting around for a couple of years because I was trying to figure out how to do this project and I kind of forgot about it for a while. But I am going to take these bean vines and try and turn them into a little winter cozy spot. I guess not really cozy spot, but just like a little bird hut, if you will, for birds to be in during the winter. Here in New York State, we have a couple of different species of birds where during the day they all flock together, but at night they keep themselves separate. They each find their own little cozy hole to just spend the night in to keep out of the wind. And having a little woven hut will help them to survive and be safe at night. So one of the first things that I have to do is I have to unwind a bunch of these because, as you can probably tell, I was able to wind them up so that they stored a little bit nicer. It turns out bean vines are very flexible, and I really think that these are going to be interesting to work with. But because they have been dry for the past couple of years, I soaked them in water for about 3 days. I was only going to do two, but then I ended up getting a little bit busy, so an extra day went by. But now they seem to be really pliable, and I'm excited to start working with them. So I unwound a bunch of these vines, and I kind of figured out which ones were about the same length. I chose some medium-sized ones to be the floor and walls, and then all of the rest of them are going to end up being the ones that get woven around and around and around. So I hope that I have enough to make at least one. It would be nice if I had enough to make two, but I don't think that's going to happen today. So I'm just going to start weaving and we'll see how it goes. Now I hope that I have enough to be able to finish the actual walls now that I've got a floor. So I didn't realize that my camera had a limit for the time frame that it would record for. Just to recap, I have I have taken 12 of these vines and I've woven them together. And then one of the vines that was broken, I started weaving it around in a circle. And I'm going to just kind of keep adding on to that vine and keep going around and around and around. And hopefully I will come up with something interesting. But since this is going to take a lot longer than I expected to weave, I am going to kind of weave off camera and I'll check back in at some point to kind of just update you on how far I've gotten. So this is not turning out like I thought it would. The crevices are way too big to keep any bird safe and secure and out of the wind during the wintertime. It's turning out to be more of a woven basket kind of thing. And I have a feeling I'm just not forcing it enough. But it is curving up at the sides on its own, which is kind of nice. So I'll just see how far I can take this. Okay, so the walls have gotten higher, and this looks like it's some sort of ode to Medusa, but I am going to try and start tapering off the top to make it teardrop shaped. And then I'm going to end up letting it dry, and then I'll probably cut out a hole. And I think I came up with an idea with how to zhuzh it up so that's a little more windproof, but I'd have to go outside and dig through a whole bunch of snow in order to find some grass to kind of weave in and make things a little bit more airtight. But yeah, we'll continue on and see what I got. So this is how it ended up. I was definitely not expecting to make this shape, nor was I expecting it to be this big. I was thinking it'd be like half this size. But I made a handle at the end. I just kind of braided it and then looped it around and kept braiding it. And then I kind of tied it off with a couple of the bean vines. It looks like a pear, to be honest. But I think that once it dries, if I kind of pick a spot and cut out a couple of the vines in a spot where it's kind of loose anyway, like this one, for example, is already kind of a big hole, that then I would have an entrance in and out. But like I stated before, I think what I'm going to have to do is get a bunch of grass and just kind of leave it in there to fill in those absolutely ginormous gaps. But for the very first time that I've ever decided to weave something together, hey, I made a shape and I formed it. You know, we had the bottom and then we kind of came up on the sides and then I kind of closed it off. And I can't say that it was a total flop. I made something interesting. And if I wanted to, technically, I don't have to use it for birds. I could like put a little decoration inside, or I could make it for battery operated candle or something. But hopefully, I can hang it outside at some point and maybe a bird will actually enjoy it. So, if you decide you want to do something like weave together a bunch of vines, go for it. Who knows how well it'll work out, and maybe you'll have something interesting.